And Spain's Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez says the war in Iran is illegal. Sánchez has firmly opposed the escalation from day one of the war, refusing to allow the U.S. military forces to use air bases in Spain. Let's listen to this first.
And I think that the message that
we are against this war because it is illegal. There's no reason behind it. And it's causing a lot of damage. Civilians, of course, refugees, and the economic consequences of the whole war, especially this global south, is already suffering.
Connected with the rest of the wars that we have witnessed over.
Sanchez's equivocal denunciation came as European leaders gather for a summit in Brussels. Sanchez also urged the European Union to play an active role and push for a diplomatic solution to the conflict.
Europe is based on the principles of multilateralism and shared decisions, not unilateral international law, peace, respect of a peaceful coexistence between nations and society. Once more, what is being questioned once again in this case, with the war in Iran. A war that the Spanish government and, I would say, the entirety of Spanish society has condemned from the first moment. We do not support it and think it is illegal.
At the Brussels meeting, the European Union called for a moratorium on strikes against energy and water facilities. The bloc's leaders also call for de-escalation and maximum restraint, the protection of civilians and civilian infrastructure, and full respect of international law by all parties. The European Union has called for a moratorium on strikes against energy and water facilities. The bloc's leaders also call for de-escalation and maximum restraint, the protection of civilians and civilian infrastructure, and full respect of international law. Europe has also been pushing back against Trump's call to join the defense of Hormuz. His appeal to the other world powers to help reopen the strait has not received an enthusiastic response. 7 nations have offered help, but most of them say that any military aid will come only after a ceasefire. In a letter to the UN Security Council, the U.S. presented its international legal justification for the military campaign. The letter cites self-defense. However, the Trump administration has struggled to outline the threat from Iran. U.S. have been claiming that Iran was close to getting nuclear bombs, but its own intelligence assessment seems to be present to present a different picture.
Was it the assessment of the intelligence community that there was an imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime?
The intelligence community assessed that Iran maintained the intention to rebuild and to continue to grow their nuclear enrichment capability.
Was it the assessment of the intelligence community that there was a, quote, imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime, yes or no?
Senator, the only person who can determine what is and is not an imminent threat is the president.
False. This is the worldwide, this is the world.
On the other hand, Israel is hinting at taking the war to the next level. Prime Minister Netanyahu says attacks from the air are not enough to topple the regime.
It is often said that you can't do revolutions from the air. That is true. You can't do it only from the air. You can do a lot of things from the air, and we're doing, but there has to be a ground component as well. There are many possibilities for this ground component, and I take the liberty of not sharing with you all those possibilities.
All right, to discuss more now, we are being joined live on the broadcast by Jane Kinnenmunt, CEO, United Nations Association UK. Thank you so much for taking out your time and joining us on the broadcast. Let me quickly just begin with Spain's Prime Minister. And you just heard him, of course, in the report saying that we are against this war is illegal. First question, is this illegal?
The US and Israeli attack on Iran is clearly a violation of international law and the UN Charter. It's illegal to start wars in most circumstances unless there is an imminent threat and diplomatic avenues have been exhausted, which could at times force a country to engage in war for self-defense purposes. Here, though, the imminent threat does not appear to have been the case. There have, of course, been ongoing tensions and conflicts between Iran and Israel, but that is not the same thing as saying that Iran was about to attack Israel. And as we've heard, the there were diplomatic routes available to resolve the nuclear issue with Iran. And indeed, that had happened in the past. Under Barack Obama, the US had engaged in a multilateral agreement that ensured Iran's nuclear program was kept for peaceful energy purposes, verified by international inspections. So Pedro Sánchez is right. We at the UN Association in the UK issued a statement about the war being illegal immediately when it started, and actually other European leaders think the same. But most of them have been more wary of speaking so clearly.